Gosh, all right, well, on your agendas that you picked up, you have the following things. Update on the Standish Road closure. Okay, so, yeah, the signs, the vandalism refers to the signs that we put up on the gates that lead through the mine that the emergency vehicles are allowed to use in the sand trucks, and somebody painted over on them. You probably saw what they got posted on our Facebook page if you do that. That somebody painted some things on those signs. So please keep an eye out for individuals who are most disgruntled and still want to drive through the mines to get from point A to point B. And there were some complaints, and Francis is actually here, that he got complaints from people about the road closure, which, as we all know, and we've said it 100 times, there's really nothing that we can do about, we can't tell them, no, you can't not fix the bridge. I mean, it is what it is, and if you go around this county right now, there are so many roads that are being detoured right now because this is construction season. There are bridges and culverts and roads being repaired all over the place, and a lot of those detours are a lot worse than what we have. Some of them are long-term. I mean, look at the bridge in Sable that has been, how many years that's been closed and people have been driving around? The one that is like between the two counties. So just want to remind people, yes, it's an inconvenience, but people get inconvenienced all the time. This is a short-term inconvenience, and when it's done, you'll have a better, wider bridge so that you can actually meet a big vehicle on that bridge and not fear scraping the sides. You might actually even be able to meet the plow on that bridge. Maybe, maybe not, but anyway.
Is the road for the ore trucks finished? So when I was here the last time, there was going to be a special access way for the ore trucks.
Yeah. Yes, they're using that.
Okay.
Well, they're not right now because Canada's on their 2-week construction holiday, but starting on Monday, when they're off that holiday, they'll be using they'll go up Schoolhouse and go in through the back way into the sand.
Because I did notice several heavy trucks on Sunset Road in the past day or two, and I was just
it's not sand trucks. It must just be the normal traffic. And they did delay they were going to do the one in Standish at the same time, and I was told this morning that one got delayed. So at least if you're going to Plattsburgh from Lime Mountain and you were going to plan to go through Standish to get there, going through Saranac, you won't have the detour at that end at this time. So they've delayed that one. But it stinks because all this construction takes place during the summer when everybody's traveling, everyone wants to do things, but as you know, in the North Country, we have a very short construction period. We can't replace things in the dead of winter, and the dead of winter can come at any time after August. So that actually, October, we've been fortunate. October, November's okay, but we have a short construction period, so we have to put up with it if you want passable roads. So that's the way it is. All right, what else did I miss on this? Did the sand sand? Was that it?
Comprehensive plan.
Oh, the comprehensive plan. That's you.
Yeah, so as you know, a lot of our discussions in prior meetings, Mike and I have been spearheading a comprehensive plan for the town of Dannemora, and those of you that are new tonight and I said, what the hell is a comprehensive plan? Basically, it's a plan that a lot of towns have already put in, and some have never put in, and we're being one of them, that pretty much dialogues with, what do we want our community to look like for people that want to stay here in the future. And some of the subjects that we talk about is zoning and housing and road conditions and tourists, and it's just a host of stuff, economic conditions, farmland conditions. You know, we have a very minor agricultural district in the town of Dannemora. So what the comprehensive plan does, it allows us to build something that's more concise, more procedural in how we dictate, you know, what's gonna go happen, what will happen with the town of Dannemora. And, you know, and I'll give you the examples was that quick surprise 257 RV parks resolution that was gonna hit our little small community. And, you know, we really didn't know what it was gonna do to the community. The lake is basically 1.5 miles wide and 7.5 miles long, and to have 257 campsites going in and out of that one little boat launch would have put a lot of stress on that area. So we're not saying, I want to be very, very clear that we're not saying that the town does not want growth at all. We do want growth, but we want to somewhat put a little management around that growth, so that growth actually doesn't over exceed what the town can able to maintain over those years. So so part of that comprehensive plan is that we had to put in for a grant called the Smart Growth Grant. And we partnered with Chesterfield, town of Chesterfield, because they did theirs in the early 70s, and they just updated it. They started in, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong on my dates here, please, but they re-edited it starting 2022. Am I right there?
Late 2021.
Late, yeah. And they just finished it 4 years later. So you can see this thing does not happen overnight. And typically most of these comprehensive plans do partner with some sort of engineering firm. We asked 2 engineering firms to basically come and present themselves. One was AES and the other was MG Engineering on Clifton Park. We choose MG Engineering. And so part of that smart growth plan is that it had to be done by the end of the month, this month, 31st. Tomorrow. Yeah. So a lot of things that's happened in the last month. You know, basically Mike and I were the ones trying to work through this grant. Of course, the weather was an issue. As you know, many of you know that I do farming on the side, and the weather has just been crappy as heck to deal with farming, and so we really couldn't put a lot of time and energy toward it because weather related, and you know, unfortunately Mike had some issues going on with his life, and we got to a pinch point of not being able to get that grant in, even though we had a template to work off from the town of Chesterfield. So just to give you a quick closure point about where we're at, the Chesterfield grant template that we had was pretty much a cut and paste for us to get our grant through the process to have it done by tomorrow. Well, unfortunately, we didn't realize that once you open up this website, and Becky and I worked on it, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours yesterday. Once you opened up the website, what we had from the town of Chesterfield from their 2022 grant, 2022 grant, 2023 grant finalization plan, and the new comprehensive plan that is now for smart growth, they're totally night and day. Before it was a lot of yes, no, little explanations. The new one, there's like 8 or 10 questions that they want essay style answers on what you're going to do with certain subjects for your town. And I had emailed Jackie, or actually called Jackie Hakes, who was the manager, one of the managers we're dealing with. And when she opened it up, she goes, "Oh my God, this is something that's you're not going to do overnight, or even another day." So I just got the phone with her tonight and said, "Listen, what is the best way for us to handle this?" So I'm going to give you my recommendation. I think the town will probably back me. I said, "I don't want to rush through this thing. We don't want to get sent back and says denied, or we don't want the grant to go through because we didn't put a necessary time and energy into it. It's not a quality document." So I said, "Is it better for us to just say, let's take a time out? Now we know more about what this grant looks like internally, since Becky and I have been just into this thing." She said that actually is a wonderful idea that you guys should do. And she said, "Here is one of my suggestions I think you should do, is that let me send you a contract that we will partner with you in getting the details of that grant put in place, and the cost of that would be not to exceed $5,000. She said, "You've done so much work on it already, we're probably only gonna charge you a couple $1,000s. The original cost of the grant, to have them go from start to finish in the whole 3-year, 4-year process is $98,000. But to that point, the town would have a 10% upfront payment, and then hopefully if the grant's awarded for us, that grant money pays us back all the time and energy and dollars that we put into it. So I just want to give you insight to that, and I'm sorry, and Mike, I'm going to apologize to Mike Oakley in front of y'all, is that this thing happened last second, and we're trying to move this thing along, but to me, the best common sense thing to do now is just, let's pull our resources back, let's get reorganized, let's get more of our, because part of it is getting the community involved, which is part of that grant process, and gives us time to get more of the community involved, get more of their say, and then it gives us more time to work more closely with MG Engineering as more of a partner, not just an over-the-phone partner. So that's basically the update. I don't know, Mike, you got any questions for me, shoot them at me. But we're going to pull back on this. Like I said, this thing doesn't happen overnight. Took Town of Chester 3 or 4 years, and we want to make sure that when we put through this grant, it's a high-quality document that's going to give us the benefits we need for the entire town of Dannemora.
So what's the next deadline?
Excuse me?
What's the next deadline?
It'll be next year and the end of July.
Oh,
And then and you'll know in October, late October, if the grant is awarded. So 4 or 5 months out, they let you know if you got your grant.
but now we're talking 26.
So now we'll redo our footprint in 2026 with not feeling we're so rushed in getting this thing in the deadline amount. So. Mike, got any comments, questions?
It's probably the right thing to do, that's for sure. You throw a half-ass.
Yeah,
plan
and then
in
listen, Mike and I have been in this quite tight together, and when we first started understanding the grant, one of the comments we looked at one another saying, oh boy, this might put us over our head a little bit. It's that deep. It's amazing we met with Town of Chesterfield 4 times,
there.
and the amount of detail they proposed to us, what they went through, was like, holy cow. So anyway, I want to be upfront and honest as possible with not only with the people that are on our committee, and Mary is one of them, by the way, but I want to be upfront with our town to say, let's not rush through this thing. It's a good thing that we do. The smart growth gives us a lot of opportunities to improve the overall town's footprint, and I think to do it right out of the gate is the best option to go. That's up for me. Unless you got any questions for me. Yeah, Mary.
So the new plan would be to do a contract for some technical assistance to prepare the grant application.
Correct. Correct.
I think that's wise. I mean, these are very technical grants, and you spend a little, but now that you've had the exposure to it, you're going to be getting some technical assistance. I think is going to be needed.
Yeah, and even Jackie made a comment tonight when I was on the phone before we got into our early 4:30 meeting. She says, we have a lot of people we work with on these grants, but there's no doubt that the state of New York is now being much more detailed and more critical of the funds that they're handing out to make sure that it goes to the right place at the right time. So that's why the questions that we had from Chesterfield, when Becky and I started going through it, they're saying, we're just learning where'd this question go? Where'd this question go? Where'd this question go? And then we had these big open essay questions, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we need assistance.
Yeah.
It's very technical. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, did I cover everything in that old business? I think I did.
I just got one thing on other, if you're gonna go to other.
Go ahead.
Okay, so total transparency, I had a wonderful meeting yesterday with a bunch of people from the lake that own lakefront property. And I'm gonna be honest with you.
Lake.
Shazy Lakes, yeah, sorry. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was all about the drawdown. And part of the drawdown is kind of twofold. The twofold process is that part of it relates to the overall working up and controlling and moving some stones off our beaches. I got pretty much, they got a lot of damage 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago from ice that's part of it. But the other part of it is milfoil. So I met with probably 12 residents yesterday. Very good meeting, very professional meeting, very quality meeting. And we went back and forth quite a bit. Just to let you all know, I was very blunt with them, saying, now that I've been educated on Percelicor, I'm really pro Percelicor for the lake. And I have to say, just being able to partner with Mary from Chateauguay Lakes, and what they've gone through, they treated 97 acres already of their lake, and to very good progress. So the science is there, it's backed up by science, but I did meet with a number of lakefront owners of Chazy Lake, and they really want to have a 2.5 foot drawdown. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me bring it up for just a discussion area for the town board. So my overall opinion is, as you know, in the past, I've always been very upfront that I am in favor of a drawdown one for the more or less for the property enhancement, but also it helps low water milfoil from spreading. It doesn't affect the deep water milfoil, which we really need to get a bit more control of, and Percelicor actually takes care of low level and deep level milfoil. So tonight, what I'm asking is that can we do for this year a drawdown? Because the next drawdown won't happen for 3 years, and that'll give us the necessary time to really look at this. What's going to take for us to get the funds raised for Chazy Lake, for Percelicor, get the necessary permitting process. We have a wonderful steward that's sitting right in our back door that can educate us on the entire process. At Chateauguay Lake, Mary is just that forefront person that just has a total control of what's going on in Chateauguay Lake, and not to use her wisdom and her knowledge and her services would just be an idiotic point for us here in Chazy Lake. So I think we should partner with Mary and have her educate us about what it takes to get this whole process in place, and in that time window just have that one last drawdown and then go from there. So that is something I want to put forward tonight, is I am requesting a drawdown for this year. And again, I'm bringing it out for discussion.
Well, I'm going to be the devil's advocate and counterpoint, because I don't agree with a drawdown, and I understand that a lot of people they want to work on their shorelines, and I appreciate that. And I would hazard a guess that if you drill down to a lot of the people who want the drawdowns, it's not for milfoil, it's to work on the shorelines. People want proof that Percelicor works. We have that proof. We don't have any proof that the drawdowns necessarily, they work short term, but then it grows back because you're not drawing it down every year. The book that always was quoted with trying to push the drawdowns is the Diet for a Small Lake, and even in that it said that you needed at least 3 feet done every year for 3 years straight. And we don't even follow that. So I do know that a lot of people need to work on the shorelines. In the past, we haven't had the problem in the last 2 years with the ice tearing up shorelines, but there is some old damage that's there. We are also right now in the process of applying for a grant to fix all the damage on the dam that the engineer said was most likely caused by having the lake lowered and having the ice scouring the bottom of the concrete and undercutting the dam. So we have to have that repaired. My recommendation is that we see if we get this grant, we would start doing work on the dam in the spring, and at that time we may have to draw down the lake some so that they can repair what got undercut on the dam, and choose a different time. Get with DEC and find out when the best time to lower the lake would be, not for milfoil, although it would possibly, well, no, it wouldn't work for that. you know, I would think like in the spring so that the lake is filled back up before the boating season starts. You know, if you did it late April, early May, you could work on your shorelines and the water would recover before, you know, it'd probably help some people get their docks in, that kind of thing, without having to wade in chest-deep water to do it. I think that getting with DC, finding the best time to do a drawdown in order for work to be done, because one, if we do a drawdown and people start working in their shorelines, they all need permits from the DEC. And if you've gotten permits from the DEC before, you know you're not gonna get it in a month or two. You're probably, you know, it's like a 6-month process sometimes to get a permit. So that would give, you know, if we planned one for the spring, if we got with DEC, found out when the best time to do it, where it would recover soon enough and do the least damage to our environment, and advertise that this is when it's happening, and if you want to work on your shoreline, you best get on the horn to DEC and get your permits in place so that when the time comes, you're covered. But that's my spiel.
Okay.
Has the Granville Sea wall repair been submitted yet?
It's going in tonight. Yes, in fact it has, because Liz sent me the, what she sent in. She said it was going in this afternoon.
And who's that to, who's providing that grant money?
That one's it's a WQIP, so it's state.
Okay.
But, you know, we had an estimate done by engineers on what it would cost to repair all the things that were wrong with the dam. The worst parts are the undercutting that's in that open area where you can see the rebar underneath. And to do everything, I mean, we're talking even sealing the smallest cracks and whatnot, we're talking $500,000 to fix it. To do the parts that really need to be done, where there's pieces missing, you can see rebar and the undercutting, it's about half that. So
And is that what you asked for?
we asked for the whole shot,
Okay.
and you know, and hopefully get at least enough of it to fix the really bad parts. But so, are you making a motion to?
Well, I think, I'd like to open really up discussion for the rest of the board as well, before the motion.
I am not in favor of a drawdown. A lot has to do with what Debbie says. I talked to DEC about the end of May to do a drawdown. His first approach was anything below the high water mark, if you're in there, you need a permit. Whether you get one, whether you don't, do what you wanna do. If they catch you, then I guess you don't have any leg to stand on. I've been on the board 4 years now. The lake has not been dropped down for 4 years. There's not been an issue in the winter for 4 years. The water is very well controlled. Talking with both APA and DEC, so when the pressure, when the dam is open the way it's open all the time, there's way less pressure under the ice, so the ice isn't as buoyant. When there's less pressure, so the ice stays down, the wind is less likely to move it, and if there's any more wind than we had this winter, then we're probably getting into hurricane status. I think that's really been going well. Again, I talked to him about a springtime for a 2 to 2.5 week period, and as soon as you mention work on the shoreline, he wants permits. They did just pull the nets. They had nets from the pump house up almost to my house for fish. I don't know the results of that, but he really seems to think the drawdown has totally eliminated the rainbow and salmon out of the lake. And that was their main goal here. Some people still catch Lakers, but not as abundantly. So they wanted to do a fish count to see, and again, the 3 foot, like Debbie said, if you go 3 foot, you need to get APA's approval for that, which they will not give you. And not to be critical, but I am gonna say that There's ample milfoil floating in the lake, and I've not been out there anywhere near as much as I wanna be this summer.
Yeah.
There's ample milfoil floating in there, and that milfoil is caused from improper vacuuming of the bottom of the lake, which probably does more damage than it does good.
Yeah, we have had,
And,
Denise says there's
it's,
been a lot of
I've
milfoil.
raked it up on my shore twice, because prevailing winds come right at my house. And that all has to do with, DEC also told me, a 6-week course on how to properly handle vacuuming milfoil. So I would also be a no drawdown for the entire winter. I'm not against a drawdown in the springtime,
Okay, Jim,
to actually work on someone's shoreline if that's what we're looking to do.
what do you think, Jim?
My personal opinion is, for all the money that's been spent on that dam over the years that I've been around this lake, my lifetime, is that they should have been engineered, that we have a spillway on there, and those gates are done away with. And we operate that just like Chateauguay Lake does. If it's high water, it's high water. If it's low water, it goes, the spillway takes care of it. We've proven it with the spillway in the last 2 or 3 years, what we can do to that lake.
So you're not in favor of a drawdown?
No, I don't see any, all I see is a drawdown is to help the people with the lakefront property to obtain and do work.
Okay.
That's all I see. I don't feel that it helps with milfoil, or it might kill it here, but it's letting it grow out there yet.
Okay.
When the water comes back up, it's gonna die out there, but yet it's gonna come back here.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate your honesty.
I don't live on a lake, obviously, but I do agree with people wanting to clean their property up, because a lot of people have contacted me in the last 4 years, and that first winter did get a little bit of ice damage, and most of the people that have come to me have been like 80% is to clean their property, but at the same point, I wanna do it at the right time too, but I agree not doing it and, turning off any of the fish or anything, or ruining anything, but if it lines up and we can get some repairs done too, and I think that'd be a great idea. But I agree 100%, because like I said, I know I got people that live next to you that come to me and that first year, but after that first year, nobody's had an issue with ice damage at all. So I think it's good monitoring of the lake. Everything's been good besides this whole milfoil thing. I'm pro for the Procellicord myself, and hopefully we can get that in the near future. But like I say, I agree 100% with the people trying to get their, people got a lot of money, they pay a lot of taxes, and they wanna keep their frontage upkeep, and some of them are losing it. I mean, I get it, but
Yeah, and the Priscilla Corps, you look at, the contracts that they did this year, I wanna say like 26,000, they paid, a company to, Clewey, Shazy Lake Watershed Initiative paid around 26,000, I believe, for harvesting, plus we threw in the other 10. That 36,000 would pay to probably treat 40 acres of the lake.
Well, there's a permitting process before
Right,
that, right?
that's a long
Right,
permitting.
Mary? That's
Yeah.
chargeable?
But it probably will, as more and more lakes do it, I think the permitting process will become easier, because they're seeing a history of success.
The expense with the permitting, a lot of it has to do with doing a plant survey and mapping. So, that's just, it's, and then, of course, putting it together to submit to the agencies, that can go down the more you do it. But to go out and map and document at the level of detail, that adds to the cost.
And of course, your lake was so much more difficult than Shazy Lake, because you're dealing with basically 2 lakes. And
Well, it's a
connect-
larger lake, so we did a survey of the entire shoreline, every acre, they rake tossed it, and they found, documented all of the plants, not just the milfoil. So that's called a pre-treatment survey. And then after you do the treatment, you go back to the area that you treated, and you do a post-treatment survey, and they look to see what plants were affected. So the treatment itself cost about $1,000 an acre. But then you've got the additional survey work, which can vary. And that can be 10,000 to do a fair amount of shoreline.
And what I understand from, I've talked to people from the other lakes that have had it done, you know, you treat this many acres, but there's also a flow where it actually treats additional acres.
Yeah, it can, and there's a dilution zone
Mhm.
where it can extend, you know, what's affected.
So, thank you.
Okay.
But the studies do, the survey work and the mapping is an added cost that you have to factor in.
Yeah.
One more thing that I have is, how about this, the good old fashioned way, I've been on this lake my whole, since I was a young little kid. Get right in the water and do the work. If you're only talking about your shoreline, get in there and fix it. There's, you know, what do you, if you're putting equipment in there, shame on you. And the last time the lake really got drowned down, I saw plenty of equipment. I saw bulldozers, excavators, tractors. Not my business to turn anybody in, but it was definitely going on by more than one person. And, if you just wanna fix your shoreline, get wet.
Okay. So with that, listen, again, I could put this through to a motion, but I think there's been enough discussion. And I do respect all the board members' opinions, that's why we have a very tight board. At this time, knowing Mike's position, Jim's position, and Debbie's and Jason's position, I will not put forth a formal motion to do the drawdown, but I think the conversation is evident just how you're all gonna vote, so.
Thank you. And I, you know, we will look into, you know, if there's a good time to, and we might need to do a drawdown in the spring if we can get the grant to get the repairs done, because that's really something that's very important for us to get done sooner rather than later. There's no danger in it. Obviously, if you know what our dam is like, it's concrete backed by earth. So there's no danger of the dam being breached. However, every time DEC comes and does their annual inspection, they make quite a bit of notes about the fact that there's some repairs that need to be done with our lake, so.
But I will say in the second breath that, you know, there's, I think there's now 9 or 10 lakes that have either done or put forth Purcell permits to remove the milfoil from their bodies of water. You know, with that said, I think it's important that we do all we can to educate all Shazy Lake lake owners and non-Shazy Lake landowners of the Purcell Accords. If we can get the town to come together and get this lake cleaned up, not only with milfoil, but all the overall salinity that we're seeing now from the road salt, I think we'll get our lake back to being recognized as one of the best lakes in all of New York State. But it takes an educated process, and it takes a commitment to have an open mind and to want to understand more about it. We had, just to let you all know, we did have a public meeting where Eric Zyman from the APA come down, who is a biologist that's an expert in Purcell Accord, and we had 5 participants come to that meeting. So I think we're going to hold another one with Eric. It's going to be a longer one, probably an hour and a half, but I think it's important that our entire town understands what it takes to keep this lake clean. And if we can get the right funding, that'd even be even better. I mean, what the hell, if our governor can put $50 million toward legal fees for illegal aliens, sure the hell can put some money toward our lake.
Just something that I see, neither here nor there, but the town of Dannemora, overall in general right now, you're speaking that they would be all in for Shazy Lake. The upper lake of Chateauguay Lake is in the town of Dannemora.
Yeah.
And there's only been, at this point, $10,000 going to each lake. I don't know how happy taxpayers would be about that equivalency. If you're saying that the town is gonna be the lead charge on Purcell Accord, if that's what you're telling me, that's what I believe you're telling me. And maybe you're not, but that would be just one thing to look at, is there's 2 lakes in the town.
Oh, no doubt. I think you gotta bring all the stakeholders in at one time.
Yeah.
Into this, identify all the stakeholders, say, listen, this is what we're trying to do. And if it helps definitely Mary's cause for what they're doing there, then so be it. I mean, we just gotta be good neighbors with one another, and having a total commitment of all the lakes, all the landowners, all of the lake owners, would be the way to go.
And I just point out one more thing, and that is that while the lakefront owners certainly pay more taxes because they're being taxed on their lake frontage, everybody in the town pays into general fund, and that's what repairs the dams, and does a lot of things with the lake that, does the environmental lines and that kind of thing. So everybody, not just lakefront owners, but everybody has a stake in it because they're all looking at it, so. All right.
Very good.
One question from Mary.
Thanks for listening.
One question, you were given till next year, you got permitted by the state to do the upper end, the state land part of that? The growth wasn't there this year to do it,
Right, so.
but you do have that permit in process for another year yet.
So the APA will allow a 2-year window. So if the project for treatment has to be, the way it's written now, has to be done by June 30th. So it was just very cold and rainy spring.
Yep.
The milfoil had not come out.
If that allows, you'll be able to get up in that inlet, which will take care of that
Well, it's the south, we call it the south inlet, but it's really the whole south bay of the upper lake.
yes, sir.
You know, the open water part.
It's all state land.
If the underwater lands are owned by the state there. And so we had to go for extra step to get the DEC permission.
Yep.
So the work plan that we got from the DEC is good for 5 years. We didn't know, we thought that we might have to go back. But so that permit is in place from the DEC, we were worried about that. And the APA permit is good, it was good for this year and for next year. So, we'd like to get them to push back the date for treatment because for certain lakes, like northerly lakes, the spring is late. But I don't know, that's like a region-wide thing, so I don't know if we'll get any kind of leeway to treat. So the treatment date has to be done by June 30th, and we weren't able to document that the milfoil was up to treat, so that's why we didn't do it.
Okay.
We're seeing much less milfoil all over the lake,
Excellent.
and some of it I think is because there's been such high rain. So in 2023 there was flooding, so we had the whole south inlet washed out. We had an iceberg with reeds, and it washed a lot of sediment into the lake and kept the water high, so that suppresses the growth. And then even last spring, it was very rainy in June, I don't know if you remember, but the water was high, and again, a lot of sediment, shading out the plants, covering them with like sediment and algae. And again, this year, very cold and rainy spring. So I think it's a combination. What we've seen is, 18 years of hand harvesting these real problem areas. Doing the Priscilla Core last year in that stretch that is really heavily trafficked around the boat launch. And then some environmental factors are also helping. So. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we do what we can.
Thank you. Thank you, board. Appreciate it. Open
New business, website conversion to .gov. I'll be getting with our webmaster next week. It'll only take us about we've got most of the preliminary stuff all done, and it'll probably take us about an hour to finish that off, and we'll be a .gov website. We'll get the word out. Review shared services agreements. We did ours last month, and now we're getting all kinds of them because apparently it's a big push now. Everybody's must have expired this year. But we got one from Jay. Now, what's the reality that we would ever go to Jay? So, some of these things, we eliminated a bunch of them when we did ours because the town of Plattsburgh had put, I think, every town and village in Clinton, Franklin, and Essex County on theirs. And I want to be more realistic with ours. I don't believe us doing a shared services agreement with Jay would make any sense because you guys are not gonna go there. What we had done with ours was we put every town in Clinton County, of course, and then we also added Chateauguay for, the close towns that we would realistically be able to help.
Right.
So, is that in agreement? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no sense in,
That's a no-brainer.
we're not gonna travel, to, Franklin or, someplace far away to help them, and they're not gonna ask us realistically.
Right.
If there's an emergency, if we have a major emergency where, their highway barn burns down or something, of course, that doesn't fall under shared services, that just falls under emergency, kind of thing, so I just wanted to, I know she had you sign this, but I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna stick with ones that are close enough where we can actually help them and they can actually help us. Revitalizing the Chateauguay Lake water level control something district, that's it, board. I've had a few people from Chateauguay Lake who have approached me, concerned that this board has not met since COVID. And I have, assuming that Don Bilo is still involved in this, I sent him an email, haven't heard anything back. So I'm gonna call, what's her face, Titus, and Sarah, is that her name? Sarah Titus, and see if she can shake something loose, because we don't, right now, if the board still exists, which it should, because it's incorporated into an agreement, there has not been any representation from Dannemore residents on Chateauguay Lake since
COVID.
they were disbanded, or they were not reappointed by my predecessor. Let me put it that way. So we're working on that. I think it's important. They have some issues, I know, in Burke with, oh my gosh, did you fix it? They have some issues with the dam there.
Yeah, remind me
And
later.
they have, later.
Yes, we have,
Oh,
we have
hold on.
problems.
Which one do I want to click?
Well, first
I got it. Is it that one?
Yeah.
The writing's so small, I can't see it. I got one, it's still too small. And they have some issues, and we really need to reactivate, especially with the use of Purcellacor. That's something that should be in the forefront with this board. So, just to let you know, we'll try to get that going. Mike, I think at one point you were kind of dealing with some of that.
Till it fell apart, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it fell apart, but it definitely ended.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a meeting since 2020 or whatever, so, anyway, just to let you know, we are gonna work on that.
Okay.
And,
I have one thing on new business,
yes, go
Hey,
ahead.
awful other man tonight, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a question for Mark. What'd you find out on the Ford tractor?
He said, more or less it's a head gasket,
That's what he thought.
and, it's not that bad to fix it. But when they tear the heads off, they don't know what they're gonna find inside, cause it is 42 years old. Once you get antifreeze mixing with oil, the crank bearings are gonna go. That's almost a gimme.
Well, we're into committee reports right now, so, I mean, you can go ahead, that's,
Oh, that's,
so the tractor, the Ford tractor, started producing its own fuel.
oil. I called Joey and Jimmy and Debbie.
Yeah,
We all know about it. I mean, it's 42 years old.
yeah, so there's antifreeze and stuff in the oil now, so it's,
You wanna
Well,
put money in it?
don't burn it up anymore than it is, so.
We're not even using it.
You won't even, don't even use
We're
it.
not even using it.
so
quotes.
right now, we're having difficulty finding pavers. And we have CHIPS money to pave. It doesn't look like
That's
we're gonna be
happen.
able to have any paving this year because there's nobody there to pave. Saranac is a
Saranac
long
is-
story.
Saranac usually does our paving, well, they're down to 3 people because they just can't keep anybody. And so I was talking to Steve and he said they're hiring out all their paving this year. And instead of doing $70,000 for 1 mile, it's gonna cost them $189.
$189,000 to do a mile of paving.
So I said, well, why don't you just let us take the paver and the roller, we'll do it ourselves. And he said he'll get back to me on that, but it didn't sound like it was gonna work. Cause we do it every year, so we know how to do it.
Okay.
Whose equipment was that?
Saranac.
Saranac.
So if we don't do paving, we can use CHIPS money to buy equipment. So,
What road are you gonna pay?
I was gonna do La Pointe Road, that's my top priority.
La Pointe,
No, if you're gonna do much, Judy, because
Yeah, right.
we gotta get a paver first.
yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the main priority this year was to pave the La Pointe Road, but,
Right.
if there's no equipment there to actually pave
And I
and,
really don't wanna hire it out, cause it's ridiculous.
I mean, it would be a big, well, it's not in the budget for one thing to spend that much on paving. Because,
Yeah.
We're getting quotes right now for tractors, it's nothing, you know what I mean? We got feelers out there and they're supposed to get back to us tomorrow. So we'll know more on the cost of these things.
If that can fire up, then you need to have somebody look at that and see what they give you for it.
It'll start, but I won't run it long.
If the CHIPS money, like if you don't use it this year, can you use it next year?
It'll be added on to next year.
So,
but if we
So
need.
there's no penalty
if we
to us
needed
if we
to go
don't
I'm
on
use
just
it.
it.
saying, I just wanna say like, look.
Yeah, we can roll
Look
it.
for the top of the notch,
It rolls
spend all
out.
the money, I wasn't saying, it's just, I didn't wanna make sure we're gonna lose any money or anything, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah, chips will always roll over, so that's a good thing about it.
Yeah.
well, we'll know more tomorrow.